6 months ago, I was some random college kid in a dorm, and now I feel like I'm at the center of the tech universe.
There's something like really strange and special happening here.
I heard someone call it Riz marketing, which is a compliment. But they're like, I hate this Riz marketing.
We wrote our first lines of code 10 weeks ago. All of a sudden, we have like over $1 million of enterprise revenue coming in.
Roy's probably the top 0.001% in the world in terms of knowing how to distribute.
Is this viral? Does this have viral fit? If any company in the world has a marketing team and the head of marketing does not have 100,000, at least 100,000 followers, like you need to replace them. Like the game has changed.
You're converting this like awareness and eyeballs into money, dollars.
I might as well just quintuple down on every single crazy belief, thought I have, and just live the most interesting life ever. I'm all in on building companies. There's no way I can do anything else.
Roy, the man, the myth, the legend, the man of the moment. Cluey is the current thing.
Yes.
How does it feel? The announcement the other day, a lot of love, a little bit of hate. Yeah. Maybe more than a little bit. And any reactions? How do you react to this?
I mean, it's pretty crazy. I think like literally 6 months ago, I was some random college kid in a dorm, and now I feel like I'm at the center of the tech universe. And it's the more astonishing thing is how correct my assumptions on virality have been. I think it's growing increasingly clear that people on X LinkedIn are behind, and there's such a very extremely small intersection of people who understand how developed the algorithm is on like Instagram, TikTok, and people on tech like Twitter, LinkedIn, X LinkedIn, and there's just such a small intersection that it's inevitable that my predictions will be right. And it's been crazy to see that play out in real time.
Yeah. Elon's reaching out. Meta's offering $1 billion acquisition offer. Bryan, we said, not to do it, of course.
Of course. I mean, to the moon.
Bryan, what is your reaction seeing this play out?
Look, Roy, this is fantastic. It's so interesting. I remember right before the announcement, you had already sent me the video 24 hours ago. Like, bro, this is what we're gonna show. And I was like, okay, like this is great, and I think it's gonna do well. I didn't think it would do that well. And I didn't think it would create that much, controversy. But I think underestimated how positive people will view this. There's a lot of meta-analysis on you out there, which is like really, really cool. And there are people who are going like 2 to 3 layers deep. And I've actually read something that like linked a meta-analysis of A16Z with how, with Cluey and how there's like this sort of fungibility of thoughts and things like that, which is like
I have no idea what the fuck
mind-blowing.
they're talking about.
So it's just been incredible.
People doing literary criticism.
No, I'm not kidding. There's literally a guy who wrote like fungibility of thoughts with A16Z and Cluey.
People always overread into stuff. They're like, oh, this ad is master plan. A16Z is trying to do this whole space. It does. Yeah.
No, don't tell them, Eric. We are playing 4D chess here, so.
10 threads analyzing the left-hand handshake. It's like, guys, come on.
I wanted to some of the haters. I tweeted something as I was talking to Bryan. I tweeted, how you feel about Cluey is how you feel about yourself. But I deleted it because I didn't want to trigger people on Twitter. I'll talk shit on a podcast. Maybe I'll get clipped to Twitter, but I didn't want to inflame people. But it was fascinating to see. So maybe I want to go back to the beginning, because this isn't a story that has been told a lot. We were talking about the Amazon interview, but
Right.
Maybe let's go back even further when we think through the where you are now. Talk about like the threads of the through lines from your childhood to that can help make sense of who you are and kind of this moment.
I think from birth, like the most character defining feature of me has been like attention grabbing and provocative. This played out elementary, middle, and high school. I was always like I had a camp of people that loved me and a camp of people that hated me. I was like always the boldest. Like I would say the craziest shit. And everything that was on my mind, just no filter, I would say it. And this ended up with a lot of people liking me and a lot of people just really disliking me. And I think like things culminated senior year of high school. Like I did well in school. I got accepted to Harvard early, and then later that year I was just always doing crazy shit. And I snuck out of a school field trip past curfew. Like the police had to come and escort me back because we were out at like 2 a.m. and we were all like 16, 17, 18. And then I got a suspension for that. And that was like when the camp of like Roy haters took to storm and reported everything everywhere. And it ended up getting me rescinded from Harvard. And then that kind of started my journey of, I think, wanting to actually swing big at building companies. At that point, I felt like my life took such a crazy turn. for context, my parents literally run like a college admissions consulting company. So we literally teach kids how to get into Harvard, and the youngest son of the company like gets fucking rescinded from Harvard. It's like the worst thing ever. So we decided let's keep this quiet. You still have the same test scores and application and everything. Maybe next year you get into a different school. So I spent like an entire year at home, and that was like, I underestimated how mentally tormenting that would be. Like, I'm probably the most extroverted person you might have ever met in your life. I cannot stay maybe like 8 hours without talking to someone. And to spend a year alone, like it made me think like, man, my life is so crazy. I might as well just quintuple down on every single crazy belief, thought I have, and just live the most interesting life ever. So that was like the moment where I decided like, I'm all in on building companies. There's no way I can do anything else.
I was wondering if you were going to have a moment of like, oh, this is setting me back in some ways. Maybe I should, reform or tame it down. But you took the opposite of like, no,
yeah,
this is who I am, and it's going to work out.
Yeah, you just sit in a room by yourself for like 12 months, and all of a sudden your craziest thoughts become logical, and there's no one else. Like the echo chamber is you and your brain. And it amplifies everything. And I think that's the reason why I am like the person that I am today and willing to make the bets that I am today. Later, I go to community college in California at the behest of my parents. I think California, this is like a middle ground. California, I have the chance to build a company, and community college, like I have the chance to get the education that my Asian parents always dreamed of. So I do that, and then later I get into Columbia, and I have to go to Columbia for at least a semester to appease my parents. I go to Columbia, and the first thing I'm thinking is like, can I find a co-founder and a wife? Like those are the only two things that I'm looking for in college, and still looking for the wife. But on pretty much the first day, that's when I met Neil, my co-founder. Started hacking on a bunch of things, and the one thing that worked was the earliest version of Cluey. So,
and were your parents ever trying to reform you or moderate you, or really kind of like, hey, Roy's gonna be Roy, and like
almost probably like every single day of my life until I got into Harvard? Then they calmed down and they're like, wow, this kid really made it. And then when I got kicked from Harvard again, they were like on my ass a lot until I got into Columbia again, and they're like, wow, like I like after all this he gets back into the Ivies. Like I guess I really can't trust him, and his unorthodox swings will he home runs.
So you mentioned before that your parents, they will love you no matter what.
Yeah.
However, I am curious what they think now.
Man, it's crazy how lax they've gotten since I got back into Columbia. Like now they're okay with anything. When I told them, hey mom, I'm dropping out to do this, like she's like, oh, like okay, like I expected it. Like why didn't you drop out sooner? Why did it take you a semester and a half? Because at this point I was like convincing my co-founder to drop out with me, and she's like, man, like took you long enough. So they're like totally on board with all the crazy shit that I do.
Wow. The one of the things we were talking about in the context of going viral, I heard you say, is that Twitter is 2 years behind Instagram.
Yeah.
Or behind the other platforms. Talk a little bit about, well, first, just like when your sort of provocativeness sort of translated over to Twitter, or just like the digital mediums, like how did that strategy evolve? And let's talk about the difference in the platform.
I think, and this goes way back, but many years ago when YouTube first came out as a platform, this was like the turning point of everything. This democratized essentially content, and now you weren't paying for commercials, and the visibility and publicity and content was not gated by amount of money you're willing to spend on ads or TV space. It's just gated by the quality of content. And 5 years ago when TikTok came out and short form algorithms really started taking over, that shifted the frame once again. So now it's not about how much good content you make, it's literally just about how much content can you make. There is simply not enough good content out there for the average person to consume, which is why you see like the same brain rot reels over and over again. You see the same Minecraft parkour video over and over, just because there's literally not enough content for the average consumer to consume. And people have not caught on to a few things. First, you just need to make more content that a consumer will like. Most people don't know how to make viral content that any person can watch, consume, and is digestible. And everyone on X LinkedIn is trying to go for be the most intellectual, like thoughtful person, and they'll generate some slop that maybe 200 people in the world can actually understand and make sense of. But of course they want to seem like the most interesting, thoughtful, intelligent person. But this just it lacks viral sense. There's not enough viral content to go out. And the second thing is that the algorithms really promote the most controversial things. And people on X LinkedIn seem to have, there's not enough controversial things to be rewarded for. So when I come out swinging out of the gate, I've been on Instagram, TikTok for the past 10 years of my life, and I understand what level of controversialness you need. I take the slightest foot into controversialness and all of a sudden X LinkedIn explodes because the algorithm inherently highly rewards this stuff. And as a result, it's just getting shoved into everyone's feed and they don't understand. But I'm just like literally applying the same principles of controversialness from IG TikTok onto X LinkedIn. And it's just, they're just so not ready for it. That feels like the craziest thing ever. And this is something that I've said before, but I guarantee like my videos do not go as viral on Instagram, TikTok. And the sole reason is because on those platforms, they are not controversial enough.
Yeah.
And on those platforms, there are literally people committing felonies in public, or at least insinuating like they're committing felonies. And even then, it'll be like, oh, good try, bro. Like it's not interesting enough. And like X LinkedIn, they just have not caught on. There's not enough creators out there who are willing to press the controversial button.
There was a Mark says this sometimes, right? Like supply chain of the meme. It's like the strangest concept, but the meme actually travels from like Reddit and then it goes to, X and then it goes to Instagram, then LinkedIn, then CNBC, and there's like a train that it goes, and certain people are just early late. But when you actually flip it with virality and controversialness, maybe that flips a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it starts at like 4chan or something, like some of the most controversial.
That's what I meant. Like I didn't even want to say it. It's like 4chan, Reddit, then Twitter, then Instagram and LinkedIn. But for you, it's actually Instagram and Twitter comes before Twitter in terms of the raunchiness or craziness of it.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like the average person who's in X comments hating about how controversial this is, if they spend 1 hour looking through the timeline that is my Instagram feed, their brains would melt and explode. Like they would not be able to comprehend how are people like digesting this at scale.
Well, it's funny because ever since Elon took over X, some people start complaining of like, oh, the stuff has gotten too controversial or too much dark stuff or too much, negative content. And it turns out they're, it's just the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, literally, this is what the future of content is going to be. You're not going to get more millennial founders. You're only going to get more Gen Z founders. And I guarantee you their backgrounds and content are the exact same as mine. And they know exactly what I'm doing. And I'm sort of like the canary that's leading the way for this. But I guarantee you there's more of this coming. And it's inevitable, and you just embrace it.
When did you realize that this was the way you were going to build a company? That like, how did you intuit like, hey, distribution is a scarcity, distribution is what matters, and that because there's a lot of creators out there, but they're not combining it with a tech company. Like how and when did you put this together?
I guess there was a certain point where I kept going viral that I sort of realized that I know something that X LinkedIn people don't know yet, and it is sort of like mastery of the algorithm. And I think like everything started with the interview coder situation. Interview coder was the earliest prototype of Cluey, and it was a tool to let you cheat on technical interviews. And I used it to cheat my way through an Amazon interview. I made it super public. I posted it everywhere and ended up getting me like blacklisted from big tech and kicked out of school. And that situation was inherently viral. Like, when's the last time someone got kicked out of an Ivy League and raised $5 million? Like, this has probably never happened in the history of humanity. So that situation was inherently viral. And at that time, I had no idea that this was like a repeatable thing that I could do. But then the launch video happened, and I had my intuitions about the virality of the launch video, and I just kept scrolling on Twitter, and I was wondering, like, man, why is nobody doing what Avi Schiffman with Friend.com showed the world you could do a year ago? Like, why has nobody done this yet? And it worked. And then I did the 50 interns thing, and it worked. And like I kept doing viral video after viral video, and at a certain point, it just realized, like, holy shit, people on X LinkedIn, they have not caught on yet. And this is the massive alpha that I'm trying to capture here, is they have not caught on to what it means to master the short form algorithm or the algorithm that is one of short form. And as a result, they're literally like, I am able to dominate the timeline for not the past week, but like probably the past few months, just because people on X LinkedIn have not caught on, and for some reason they still refuse to catch on.
Right. And so just to find a point out, the 50 interns, maybe explain this idea of basically at your company, you have engineers and you have creators.
Yeah,
right.
There are only two roles. You are either a world-class engineer who's building the product, or you're a world-class influencer. And for full-time, every single person has over 100,000 followers on some social media platform. It is the only way to prove that you actually have mastery over virality and you understand what it takes. And I think if any company in the world has a marketing team and the head of marketing does not have 100,000, at least 100,000 followers, like you need to replace them. Like the game has changed.
And so do you think this is a strategy that other companies should also be employing, of basically having, whether it's intern based or just like having an army of creators and sort of deploying them towards their end?
Yeah, I'll go a bit deeper in the interns. So Cluey made a pretty viral video announcing that we were hiring 50 interns, and you'd be in here making content all day. And essentially, that's almost what we do. We have like over 60 contractors. These contractors get paid per video, and they just are forced to sit in front of a camera and make TikTok and Instagram videos about Cluey. And this is what marketing looked like. This job does not exist 5 years ago. Like how do you explain the job where you sit in front of a camera and you make 5-10 second videos that seemingly make no sense to anybody, but just consistently generate millions of views? Like that's not a job that makes sense to people. But that is our internship. That's what like a modern day marketing internship looks like. Like we pay very little money for the amount of views that we get. And different companies they're paying literally millions of dollars for Super Bowl ads when you can get the same quality and quantity of views, $20,000.
And you see it converting?
Yes. Of course. I mean, like those are realistically our only converting videos. Is the ones that we have on IG, TikTok.
Yeah, Bryan, why don't you share your story of how you got excited about Cluey, of how you and Roy met and built this relationship, and how this partnership formed?
Sounds great. I had a good contact in New York who's travels in the young cracked folks area, and her name is Ali DeBow. And she sent one of the lists that she sent had Roy in it, and I like read what they're working on, and it sort of reminded me of like a scout thing, or it's on the edge of virality. I'm like, this is interesting. I want to talk to him. So I reached out, Roy, if you remember. I just reached out, hey, heard your name, blah blah blah. We should talk. And you're like, oh, bro, let's talk. And then like a day later, you wrote back. I'm like, actually, you're multi-stage. I don't want to talk to you. My advisor says don't want to talk to you. Go away. And then what do? Like, I could have just stood down, but I said, okay, fine. I promise you will not talk about fundraising. Let's just talk. Like, I want to meet you. I want to talk to you. I want to build a relationship, blah, blah, blah. Thankfully, you agreed. We got on a quick call. We, like, chatted a little bit where you, like, had your origin story. I'm like, oh, my God. This kid's it's amazing. It's so cool. Like, I'm glad he's doing this. Sad he's not accepting money, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And then I tracked you. I tracked your Twitter. I tracked what you're doing, the 50 intern. You moved to San Francisco. And I had it in my mind, okay, next time, like, when the opportunity strikes, I'm just going to show up. So I think I somehow got your phone number or some such thing and texted you, yo, like, I'm at your office. Can I hang? So I come and you say, yeah, like, that's great. Like, come up. And what I actually think was really, really cool, there are a couple of steps. But step one was there was like an engineer who randomly found you on Twitter or Instagram and had just come up. Like you did not know him. He did not know you. He just like came to your office, came in to say hi, wanted to say hello. And one of your friends, I think Nicholas, was just there hanging out. And the quality of the people, the fact that random engineers were knocking on the door to come talk to you randomly was just like, oh, like there's something like really strange and special happening here. And like all of your team members sitting on the thing and like doing things and creating content, and you and Neil working on the product. I was like, oh, like there's something very special. And I sort of was thinking, oh, like, is this something that we should sort of back? And then I think one more video was made or something. And next time I visited, I think I came with some stuff, or, you're eating steak. And then you flash some, metric or something where I realized that you're converting this like awareness and eyeballs into money. Dollars. You like drop some numbers. You're like, oh yeah, we're doing this many revenue, and that's what we're doing. And guess what? Like some enterprise customer wants to talk to us. I don't know why. Blah 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 blah. And that's when I sort of realized, oh, he is actually able to like convert this awareness and distribution that you're getting into real dollars. And I don't know many people who know how to do that. And during that time, I was already writing this thing called Momentum as a Moat, because it's been so hard to pierce through the noise of everything in the AI, especially in the sort of consumer-facing, pursuer-facing. To do that consistently is actually way, way, way harder, near impossible. And so I had the theory that, oh, like companies who know how to do that, companies who know how to build at that speed are going to be the winners. And I felt like I have found a person who was doing that. And so, I think we move very quickly, right? Like Roy, I told you, look, like just hit download on the Stripe data, hit download, send it to us. I won't ask any more questions.
Yeah.
And then we'll have a chat. And that hopefully is what we delivered. We quickly scrambled to do a very fun for small person interview where small person chat with you and some of the partners, and where you called some of them old, bald, and boring. And we were excited to, do the deal. I think I was at an LP summit running around in Las Vegas, trying to call you to get to a terms, etc. And that's how it all worked out. And after a while, I brought you 5-6 pounds of steak as an excitement and a deal.
I want to double click on the momentum as a moat piece, Bryan, because you have an interesting background in that you've been doing consumer for a while. You worked at Snap beforehand, among other places. And I remember Ben Thompson had this post about Snap where he said that Snap has a gingerbread strategy where basically, if they invent stuff, Meta is going to copy it. So they just have to keep inventing stuff. And I guess it's like follow the breadcrumbs or something. And you also have backed a number of these, consumer, you've had a front row view to, hey, these network effects aren't as necessarily defensible as they once were. And so companies need to keep innovating, keep pushing. And so share more about how this kind of momentum, especially as it moves to AI companies, how this theory was born and what it really means for defensibility.
Yeah, I did not have that view before. I did not think gingerbread strategy necessarily worked, nor momentum was a moat. I did not. I actually truly believed in these handcrafted artisan products that really get to the core of why people want to use it. I still somewhat believe core of it, but these artisan products where, it just takes a while to build it and it's very, very nuanced. And I have believed that led to high retention. So the thing that I looked at the most always was, is this product highly retained? Does this product have network effect on the traditional sort of theories of moat? And what I realized, and this was true to some extent in the era of mobile. Mobile is a 2-decade-old platform. So a lot of things have been tried and a lot of people tried different things. And therefore, finding something that people came back again and again and again was the most important thing in my mind. And then AI hit. And I still had that framework where, I'm going to look for things that are highly retentive and repeated again and again. And guess what? Things change too fast. The underlying model changes every day or every week. If you craft this thing and OpenAI as someone built their new model to include that part in their new product, you're done. You're gone. So then it couldn't become about this highly thoughtful, slow build product. It needed to be something where founders knew how to move extremely quickly. And that included product, that included distribution. And because these fucking things are so magical, AI is so magical, we built the digital god, locked it in a chatbot. Because it's so magical, right now, kind of anything goes. People will give it a chance. And therefore, what's really important is to try to build the plane as it's falling down the cliff. And people who enjoy the thrill of the, plane going down and actually is excited about building as it goes down, I think those are the winners of the next day. And so when I think about folks like Roy, it's the type of founder archetype who gets value and is excited and leading the charge in terms of that speed, whether it's marketing, distribution, or product build. And usually all of that needs to come together to build an extremely durable, long-dated product. And that, to me, eventually will turn into a product that need to be retained, that need to be used every day. But we're still in this early stage of AI where I think momentum is the moat. And, going back to Roy, I love to hear how you think about it, because we talked about it a little bit over chat where you think stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 of building Cluey and sort of the distribution advantage that you have. And you keep talking about this, maybe X and LinkedIn people don't get it right now, but that gap may, narrow over time. So how do you think about the next stage and et cetera? But that's how it links to sort of my theory of momentum of the moat.
I want to get to Roy's product strategy, but first I just want to outline some points, which is, it was interesting. Paul Graham, when he started Y Combinator, identified that technical founders were undervalued, that they were being underappreciated, and people thought, you need to have an MBA, and he realized, hey, it's easier to teach technical founders business than it is to teach, business people how to build great products or how to code. And then what happens over the next 15 years, it becomes way easier to build these things, sort of, AWS, low-code AI, et cetera. And distribution becomes the scarcity, and that there's so much, so much software. There's it's such a flooded ecosystem, as you quoted in your piece, Andrew Chen's piece, about how the all the marketing channels suck. They've all been sort of, like rang out dry. And so distribution is now the scarcity. And so in the same way, the technical co-founder, now there's almost like an audience co-founder, or almost like, hey, how do you really break out? And we've seen creators start to build business, like Mr. Beast with his, chocolate Feastables, right? But Kylie Jenner with her, was it the makeup line?
Yeah, makeup line.
Yeah, whatever. These creators create these like
lip gloss.
Yeah,
lip gloss.
Commerce, whatever. Like, but no one's really done it with software. No one has put the two and two together. Justin Bieber tried to do a social network called Shots, or he tried, John Shahidi using Bieber, but no big creators really built, whether a consumer or enterprise, huge software company. They've built commerce or physical goods. And I always thought, hey, why doesn't Mr. Beast launch like a Square competitor? Like, he's got all these eyeballs. Like, I'm sure he's got to get something better margins than Feastables, and he has games, and he's a friend of the firm, and he's done phenomenally well. But what I like is that Roy's putting both of those together. And so maybe you can walk through a little bit. You talked about your distribution strategy. Why don't you talk about how the product strategy has evolved from the beginning onto now, and then we can get to the sequencing?
Yeah, I think something that a lot of people miss is that the first line of Cluey code was written like 10 weeks ago. So this is like really new. And this started with Interview Coder, which is just like a product that I coded up over a weekend in my dorm. And it was like a tool to let you cheat on interviews. And what we realized after we got about like 250 million impressions on the whole scenario is like, wow, we just got so many eyeballs on this thing. Maybe if we can do this again, but we have a more general use product with a similar UX, because we think we're really onto something with the UX here, then maybe we can make a lot more money. And that's what we did with Cluey, and we just launched it as like Interview Coder for everything, cheat on everything. Like let's just see what happens, and the usage data will tell us what people are using it for. That's like exactly what's happening. Now we have this general purpose cheating tool, which is in reality is just like a invisible AI overlay, and here's a new user experience for AI. Let's push it out to a bunch of people and see what happens. And as a result, like now we're past like 1 billion views overall on Cluey, and we're probably like the most viral startup in the world. And we have all this usage data that literally tells us, hey, here's where this is most sticky, and here's where the product direction needs to go. And I think that's like the core advantage of distribution, is like you do not have to worry about market fit or anything, because your users will tell you where the direction of market fit is headed, and their usage data will literally give you the information that you need to know. And if you don't have usage data, then you're literally shooting blind. Like every person who has built a company before knows that you can't really know what direction you're going. You have to talk to your users. But I feel like you don't, like if your distribution is strong enough, you don't need to like talk to your users. You just need to look at their data. Like you just need to look at the aggregate number of.
When you're also redefining kind of what a minimum viable product is to some degree. Like people have to spend, other companies will spend many months building this thing and then seeing how people use it. But for you, if you can, sort of draft the right content, you can test out the idea in a much quicker way to see, hey, is this really resonating?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we didn't even have, like when we launched the video, like we barely had a functioning product. Like the day before is when we finished our final tests and we're like, okay, we think this works. Now let's just launch the video as soon as possible. And we launched the video and like all of a sudden tens of thousands. We just said, hey, let's just throw sales calls in the videos to see if people use it for sales calls, because that seems like a pretty lucrative space. And all of a sudden we have like over $1 million of enterprise revenue coming in for people using it for sales calls. And it's just like you can shot in the dark distribution a lot quicker and a lot more accurately than you can shot in the dark product. And you don't need like 1 million product integrations. Like it's just so much quicker. And what's even better about it is that the iteration loop is much faster too, because the algorithm will literally tell you via a number, which is the number of views, likes, shares, whatever, like how well your strategy is going to work. So it's like it's much easier to test, is this viral? Does this have viral fit, rather than does this have like market fit?
Maybe, Roy, does that mean you sort of let the audience guide where the product goes? Is that how you sort of think about it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And maybe let's talk a little bit about like the form factor, because one of the things that internally we discussed is, look, Roy's probably top 1%. Now I revise it to top 0.001% in the world in terms of knowing how to distribute. That married the Venn diagram of that and people who know and had the instinct to build a semi-translucent overlay. It sounds so simple.
Yeah.
So does this disappearing picture sound so simple? It's easy. It's not technically hard. Like half translucent overlay, that sounds simple. It's not technically hard.
Yeah.
But that overlap to me was what gave me so much excitement around what you're building. I actually have it right now on. Like, Erik, did you go to University of Michigan?
Yeah, I did.
I see. I didn't know that. I did not know that. But I have Cluey open. I'm like, you went to U of M. Got that? Oh, you did philosophy, poli-sci, and economics. I think. Like,
Yeah.
great. We can sort of bond over that. Like this all of a sudden is an incredible tool.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, why don't you talk more about where you see the product going, or particularly like how you think about it? Anyone who's building AI tools, like asking themselves the question of how does one of the incumbents how is this defensible from one of the major players? Will OpenAI or et cetera just build this feature? How do you think about making your product like a truly defensible, especially from the people that have, because of their reach, their size? OpenAI has distribution too, right? So
yeah.
How do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're first to move in a pretty novel UX, and I think like we did get to translucent. Like I think everyone's going to inevitably get to translucent overlay. This is how an integrated AI should feel, and like Apple shows everyone that like liquid glass is the translucent overlay that will be the form factor of AI in the future. Right now, I feel like it's just a land grab, and if the question is about distribution, then I think there's actually like a pretty strong case for us to make that we will actually end up distributing better than OpenAI, and it's enough that you could probably bet on us at like a 30,000x discount. And I'm actually not worried about distribution, and I think the quality of the product. I mean, it's quite simple. I really feel like this is just a land grab right now to see who can convince as many consumers and enterprise first that they're the guy who deserves to win the translucent overlay. And right now we're making so much noise. I mean, like with the translucent overlay, like why would it not be us?
And when did you figure out the translucent overlay was the right?
Yeah, I mean, I was just in my dorm with Neil, and we were just like, we literally spent every day thinking about how can we make Interview Coder more invisible to interviews, and we played around. And there's probably like 20 to 30 versions of Interview Coder in the past that just we thought didn't work, but you essentially it feeds you a code answer, like an answer to a coding problem, and you need to overlay that on top of your code. And we're just like, man, I really need this integrated into my code. I need to see what I'm doing as well as see the answer that AI is giving me. And eventually we just landed on translucency, and this was like, wow, this is like a magical moment. This is what the product needed. And like very soon we realized, like, why are we only thinking about coding interviews and like software engineering coding interviews? This is such a small market. Like this is true for everything. AI should not feel like a separate window. Like it should be integrated seamlessly, and that looks like translucency.
I would love Roy to chat about the staged approach of how you're thinking about it. I think like right now we're distribution first, and then we'll sort of build the product as we go. Stage 2, here's how we do it with like a bunch of engineering prowess and product development, etc. I think we sort of chatted a little bit about that on text, and to me that was like, oh, okay, like he's got like you'll figure out like a product as you go.
Yeah.
I'd love to talk a little bit about that.
I mean, right now the internet is up in storms saying, hey, where's the product? And that the two things that like we are literally working day and night to like build out the product that we have in our head that the users are telling us that they want. But also like every video I make that's not directly about the product drums up so much more hype for the eventual product launch video. Like I will guarantee that this will be viral. And I guarantee that it will be more viral than if we just launched like earlier. And I think there's truth in the statement of like launch early, ship fast, launch before you're ready. But for some reason, when we're doing that at scale, like it feels like everyone is like, oh no, you launched too early. Like now where's the problem? Like what are you talking about? This is the playbook. Like we wrote our first lines of code 10 weeks ago. We're like earlier than the latest YC batch of companies, yet we're like generating probably more revenue than every single one of them. And like the product is like, it's literally 2.5 months since being built. Like we're in my perspective, we are pre-launch. And the huge benefit of being like massively distributing pre-launch is that you will know what product to build with as much certainty as you could possibly get. And if you can distribute and hype it up to an audience of literally millions of people, like, hey, this product's coming out, and we're screaming to the world, AI overlay, like AI that sees your screen, here's your audio. Like the second we make that, like, why would you pick anyone else's product to use? We've been screaming it from the top of our lungs since day one, like before day one even. And like right now, the stage is distribution, get it into everyone's mind. Like, what is Cluey? Cluey is the AI, the invisible AI that sees your screen and hears your audio. Like everyone knows this. And as soon as we launch it, like who else will they download?
Yeah. And one thing I think that's fascinating about what you're doing, and I'll compare it to our friends at TBPN who are kind of rebranding or reclaiming, they call themselves corporate driven media. And because everyone was like, we're independent media. And they're like, no, we're corporate backed, we're more honest that way, like and they're just leaning into like all the bits about ramp and you save 5%, and there's this kind of humor to it. And I think similarly, like you're kind of leaning into the controversy or being controversial as a strategy, where some people think, oh, that's like fake or forced or whatever, but you're at the same time you're super authentic in the way that you're doing it, and people feel like they know you, and sometimes even if there's a character and exaggeration, that also feels authentic in some way. It's just kind of a unique style.
Yeah, I mean, I think this like just reflects a growing like a shift in society. I mean, literally for the past few decades now, there's just been such this sharp drop off in professionalism, and I really think it's because like content creation has been democratized. Like the first ever YouTube creators were just people making funny videos in their dorms, and this was the most authentic. Like people crave this. They nobody wants to see another ad or another corporate newspaper like bullshit like that. Like they want to see some real person doing real things. And the democratization of content creation has allowed authentic people who make content to be seen by millions, and now authentic people who create content will be seen by millions. And for some reason, it's just like no company gets this. That you'll have like 100x followers, and your post will be about introducing blah 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 blah, and it's like the most corporate bullshit ever. Like you're not going to get any views, and nobody wants to see this. Yeah. Like, would you rather have a world where everyone was extremely transparent, and even the founders were honest, and like everything you see is just someone's authentic life, or would you rather see like a bunch of corporate bullshit everywhere? Like, what we envision for the end state distribution of Cluey is that it does not feel like an ad at all. This is just the story of someone's life that you want to see. And it is like true and authentic. And I try to be like, I'm probably more transparent about everything than I'd say probably 99% of companies in the Valley are.
What's funny, because what you're saying, some people get so mad at I heard someone call it Riz marketing, which is a compliment, but they're like, I hate this Riz marketing. Like it's got to be, product first, get back to fundamentals. But first, this is its own fundamentals too of how the world works today. Yeah. But two, it's like, so of course they can't destroy you, but even the people who want to destroy you, the joke in my head is they could try to kill you, but they can't kill the idea.
Yeah.
like the way that you're building companies, like there's something about it that is going to have an impact on the next generation. And it's, you're just starting the company journey, but even still, just like causing that shift or inspiring that shift is just remarkable.
What I would say, the viral marketing, when you say viral marketing, is interesting, right? Like one leads to another. I actually think what you're doing is like anti-fragile marketing.
Yeah.
Like, you're so controversial, I'm going to cut off your head. And 3 sprungs up because 1 is mad at you, 1 is really happy about you, 1 is neutral. Like, you get all these, like, every time someone comes at you and comes at the idea of Cluey, the more aura points it gets. Yeah. Like aura farming.
Any lessons from the most controversial stuff that you've done? Or is it always triple down? Is it like, how do you think about, is there a line where to cross it? Yeah, how do you
I think the few lessons have been never punch down, like never ever even remotely close to punch down. And I think people reward, and the algorithm does like reward authenticity more than anything. Like it rewards many things, but one of the things that it rewards most is like authenticity. And I think you'll see me in Twitter like every once in a while I'll make like a genuine comment like, hey, thank you, like I really respect you or something. I think like people love to see that.
Yeah, I saw your response to Gary Tan.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. Yeah, like I respect that guy, and I hope that one day when the company gets to where I imagine it will be, then he will come turn around. I don't think the lesson is to triple down on everything. I think the lesson is to like if you're honest, then the algorithm will reward you, because there's literally zero other company out there that is being fully honest about everything, and there's zero founder out there that behaves authentically. The only other person I might think is like Elon Musk. And I think that's like a really good role model to have in business making.
Yeah. As you build Cluey into the first destination for consumers and enterprise alike, how does like the type of stunts, if you will, and skits actually fit into the type of customer that you want to serve?
Like 40 years ago, we were way more professional than we are now. If you are even an engineer, you come into work, you come in with a suit and tie, and if you don't, it's distasteful, it's disgusting, I cannot believe it. Like you should never ever show up in a hoodie and sweatpants. Now you're weird if you come up with a suit and you're not in a hoodie and sweatpants. And there's just like, everyone wants more authentic things. And right now, there's this, for some reason in society, we're still lingering onto this image that companies need to be like brand friendly and boring and never say anything controversial or whatever. Like I don't understand how this became the societal norm, but in reality people want to see interesting things. I mean, like that's the point of life, is you see interesting things. And it's like there's just this lack of professionalism. And again, with the distribution of short form content, like everyone sees the craziest things and you just get desensitized to these things. And that's why sports like sperm racing are able to be so hyper viral. Like nobody would have aired this on CNN 10 years ago, but you don't need CNN anymore. You have Instagram, TikTok, and Instagram, TikTok, they love sperm racing. As a result, they're able to raise at a fucking massive valuation, like genuinely have a shot at being like the next legit sport. And it's not just sperm racing. I mean, it's every company in the world. There's Sam Altman talking about how hot the guys are that GPT generates in the timeline. There's Elon Musk doing ravings about his political takes. Like every company is getting less and less controversial. And this trend is not going to die.
More and more controversial. You mean?
Sorry, more and more controversial. Yeah, less professional. This trend is not dying anytime soon. I'm just the person that is pushing the envelope perhaps a little further than the world is ready for at the moment. I think the question that everyone should linger on a little bit is like, what happens? Can you imagine a world where we do win? Like, can you imagine the world, like, what will the state of the world look like if Cluey does win? And we prove to everyone, like, the bar for professionalism is here, where we've determined it. The entire state of, like, the corporate culture of America as a whole is going to shift, and perhaps the entire world. Everyone will realize, like, oh, we've had our, like panties up in a bunch, worrying about brand image and professionalism, when in reality, the world craves something different. And I have very strong conviction that I'm right in this because I was right about X. And I did not understand for the life of me why nobody is producing the viral videos that were so obviously designed to go viral for the algorithm. It's just because nobody has caught on and nobody's willing to like press that button. Now that I've pressed the button once, I like just imagine what the world looks like if Cluey makes it. And then you probably like are more interested in that. That would be a much more interesting world if every company was being 100% radically transparent and doing exactly what the most interesting thing was.
As Elon says, the most entertaining outcome is the most likely.
It's true.
On that note, this has been a fantastic episode with Roy Bryan. Guys, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.